Well, hello to people, I hope you're doing well, and this is the start of a new series here on the channel. Basically every 2 weeks on a Friday there's going to be a new Q&A video, and this is the start of the Q&A series. Basically because we've got a little bit more time, I've personally got more time to be making videos and things. I wanted to do something a bit different that really just allows you to ask me anything that you want. And you know, it's just an opportunity for you guys to interact with me and vice versa. And yeah, like I say, just have a bit of fun. So the first question I got, which was on Instagram, was how's life? Life at the minute is not too bad, I would say. I think it's obviously been difficult because of the transition from normal life to this new life that we have at the minute, but it hasn't been too bad. At least that's what I keep telling myself anyway, because people keep asking, oh, how are you doing, you know, how are you dealing with the situation, and I've just been like, yeah, I'm alright most of the time. It's obviously just stressful because at the minute I'm still doing my normal job from home, which is stressful for me because it feels like everyone's asking for the world when I just don't have the capacity to be able to do that thing. But it's also been quite nice just being at home and, you know, not rushing to be places. But life in general, yeah, it's been alright. That's my life at the minute. What about you? How's life for you at the minute? Let me know down below, because I don't know, this is nice to ask, I guess. Now, next question's about the wedding, and I did have similar questions about the wedding. Like 2 or 3 different people asked me the same thing, basically, about whether we were going to postpone it, cancel it, all of that stuff. Now, the original date of the 30th of April is no longer going ahead. We've pushed it back to September because the venues closed down during this period, and just other places are it's just not doable. It's obviously not ideal, but we can't do anything. You know, there's not much we can do with it. Basically, the way I've been treating it is, you know, it's just a bit more time to finalize everything and make everything perfect for the day. You know, I'm not upset about it. I was upset at the time, don't get me wrong, like 2 or 3 weeks ago when, you know, just the mere idea of our wedding being pushed back. It was a scary prospect for me and Nicola, but to be honest, we're just over it, and we're just, you know, looking forward to September. And before people say it might not happen in September, to be honest, at this moment in time, I just kind of want to keep a glimmer of hope. At the minute, it's going to be September. That's what I'm looking forward to. So yeah, happy days. Now, next question is, what advice would you give to someone that has someone in their life that isn't supportive? It's quite a difficult one, because if it was me in that situation, I would just say, do you know what, I'll just go off on my own and just, you know, deal with things on my own, because I'm that sort of person. I think it's because of my age as well, because I've been there at those times where someone just isn't supportive, and I've just thought, oh, do you know what, I'll just keep going along with it, and, you know, hopefully it'll get better. But sometimes it doesn't, and, you know, the people that you're with just don't understand. I think for me, I think it's about knowing when to say, do you know what, this is just not gonna work, and cutting ties. But also I think it's about finding the strength in yourself to, I don't know, I guess find support within yourself, if that makes sense. But I think it's just about having that mentality to be able to do that, I think. What's your favourite part of having autism? To me, the favourite part for me about being autistic is just the fact that I'm just me. It's a very cliche answer, but I don't have anything better, because that is my favourite part. The fact that me being autistic is a massive defining part of me. And actually, I'll ask you, what is your favourite part about being autistic? Let me know down below. Next question is, how did you get your autism diagnosis, and did it positively affect you from the beginning? Now, I got my diagnosis when I was a child, so between the ages of 4 and 5. So I think for my parents, it was definitely a positive thing from the beginning, but I didn't really see the benefits of my diagnosis until much later in life, to be honest. And actually, I did talk about this in a video, which I'm going to link up there, because it's actually a really good video. I really enjoyed filming that, so go and check that out. And now with Instagram out the way, I'm going to go over to the questions left for me on my community tab. And one of the ones that was left for me was quite an interesting one. I've never seen you talk about video games. Do you play any? I have not played actual console games in years. I used to, as a kid, I was really into video games. Final Fantasy, Mass Effect, all of those kinds of games. Racing games, so Forza 3 springs to mind. To be honest, I stopped playing proper video games since I met my Nicola. Like, we used to play Black Ops, like Call of Duty Black Ops, like the first one, and we would just load up a map. It would just be the two of us. We would play a couple of games where we would just chase each other and do all of the stuff that you do on Call of Duty, and literally we would just talk over Xbox Live. God, those were the days. I prefer watching people, so I watch quite a lot of commentary channels. It's mainly Final Fantasy because as a kid I loved Final Fantasy. I prefer watching and just enjoying the story because at the time I was too young or just didn't have the understanding of how the story worked and all of that stuff, because I was just like,
oh, these characters are cool.
So now I can actually sit back and just appreciate the story. Now, the next couple of questions are about the situation. How are you dealing with the situation, and how do you keep a routine during the situation? Just keeping my mind active by doing things like this, making videos and everything else, to be honest, and just trying not to stress myself out, because honestly the last few weeks I've just been really stressed out over stupid things and really ridiculous things that really bear no resemblance on the rest of life. And I think that's the main thing I want you to take away from this, is try not to stress and try not to get yourself caught up in it, because literally I've stopped watching the news. Anything to do with the situation, I'll just blank out. I just don't want to get into that situation where I'm consuming all of this news and everything and just feel overwhelmed by it. So I've just been point blank just avoiding it at all costs, which is again probably not the best way of dealing with it, but that's just what I have to do. You know, I can't put the news on without seeing the thing happening, and you know, I just can't cope with it at the moment anyway, so I'm just avoiding it at all costs and just trying to keep myself busy by doing things that I love to do, such as this, watching gaming commentaries of Final Fantasy VII, because I am that person. And in terms of keeping a routine, personally, when it comes to routine, it's just gone completely out of the window for me, to be honest, because as I'm working from home, the routines that I have at work don't really work at home for me. So what I've just thought to myself is, do you know what? I need to create a new routine which kind of has elements of the old one, which I know some people might not be able to do that or can't because it just doesn't feel right, and I completely understand that. But yeah, that's how I've been dealing with it, and that's kind of my thoughts on routine during the situation. I had a couple of questions about hobbies, special interests. Basically, what are your hobbies? What are your special interests? Music, YouTube, that sort of thing is my jam. And actually, if you want to know what other interests I have, I did a whole video on that, so go and click that if you're interested to find out more. How do your meltdowns start? To be honest, I have more shutdowns than meltdowns. I've always been that way. But to be honest, they tend to start with me just getting really annoyed and just being like, I get really hot during a meltdown. I don't know if anyone else is the same. If you are, let me know. But when I'm really frustrated, I tend to get quite hot and just really kind of agitated, and then I just have a meltdown and just like, it's all meh. Not like that, I don't go meh. Now, next question is also about meltdowns. Do you forget events after or during a meltdown? That is actually a very interesting question, but I'd love to know what your input is on that question. Let me know down below. I think during, because if I'm really frazzled because I'm in this state, I'm not going to remember half the stuff or anything that has happened, to be honest. Like, let me just be clear here. My memory is abysmal. You could tell me about the most amazing story in the world about how Jennifer Lopez skipped over fences as a sheep, which is pretty amazing and would be incredible to see, to be honest. But if that happened and you told me, I would just forget about it. My memory is terrible as it is, but when I'm really stressed out like that, that's like the main thing that goes, just retaining information and being able to actually communicate. If I'm really frazzled, just everything is just everywhere and it's just awful. Now, next question is about the intro card. This. And basically this person was asking whether I would use my band to create a little intro song. I'd never considered it because, to be honest, I consider the band to be its own entity in its own right. But the music that I use in that intro card, I've always loved that track. I've always loved it and I've always wanted to include it. But now it's a part of my intro card and I just love it. How do you reveal having a self-stimulation behavior towards people? I think what this person's trying to say is, how do you talk about self-stimulatory behavior to people? And self-stimulatory behavior is stimming, and basically stimming is all to do with moving parts of the body, making sounds as a way to relieve stress in a situation that is overstimulating, or creating stimulus for yourself because you feel understimulated. I did talk about stimming, I'll leave it up there, and why autistic people stim, so if you want to know, check that out. I think when it comes to stimming, it's about normalizing it. Now, I'm not saying that stimming is irregular or odd or weird or anything like that, because it's not. Most people, if you say the word stimming, they'll just be like, huh? They just don't know what it is, and that's absolutely fine. When it comes to stimming, what I would say is basically what I said. It's something that somebody does to feel stimulus, or to relieve that stimulus, or something that they need to do to concentrate. And effectively, you know, you break down the barrier to something that this person didn't have a clue existed, like a term, and just giving them a bit of insight. So really, when it comes to talking about these things, I don't think it should be a scary thing. I think it's about creating a conversation that's understandable for everyone to understand what you actually mean. And if someone doesn't understand why you do that thing with your fingers where it looks like you're waving at them, but it's kind of not, it's kind of like a hula wave or something, just say, it's something that I need to do. It really is just about keeping it simple, to the point, so people can understand clearly what it is without going into massive details about it, because as people we don't really need to know the whole extent of something, just a basic understanding, just to give us a little bit more knowledge than what we had 5 minutes ago. That's just what I think anyway. But if you want to know a little bit more about stimming, I'll leave a video relating to stimming up there. And if you have a question for me for the next Q&A, leave it down below in the comments for me and I'll try to include it in the next one. Stay you, stay indie. I hope you have a great day and I hope to see you next time.